Hey Algebra 1, we're going to talk about today solving multi-step inequalities. So this is just like solving multi-step equations, but we have an inequality, and you'll just have to watch out for when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. That'll switch the sign. But other than that, it's very similar to just solving equations. Okay. Alright, so you know how to solve inequalities by using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In this lesson, we will practice solving inequalities that require using more than one of these operations. Be careful, some of these inequalities have unusual solutions. Okay. So the first one, first thing I need to do is just add 3 to the other side. Divide by 6. If I divide by a positive, nothing happens to my sign. So it's just negative 15 over 6, but I can reduce that. 3 goes into both, so negative 5 over 2. To graph this on a number line, most often it's helpful to have this as a number. So 2, this would like write it as a decimal. Be negative 2.5. So if we're at negative 3, negative 2. Open circle. Ooh, it's supposed to be open circle. Sorry, I was trying to make it bigger. And going to the right. Okay. Alright, number 2, we're going to subtract 6. So get negative 15. Okay, so this we're dividing by negative 3. What happens? Yeah, your sign has to flip. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be a closed circle, and we're going to the left. How do you know that you're getting these right? Do you know, like with solving equations, we're able to check our solutions. Can we check our solutions here? Any number that you plug in this shaded area should work. So for example, I usually, if 0 is in there, I like to use 0. If you plug in 0, a lot of times I just do this in my head, but I'll just write it down for you real quick. So if I plug in 0 into my original function, 3 times 0 is just gone. So I have 6 is greater than or equal to negative 9. Is that true? Yeah, it's true. So I know that I shaded the correct direction. So a lot of times you can do that little check just in your head to make sure that you're going the right direction. Okay, for number 3, we're going to distribute the 4. Okay, on the right side, I'm seeing some errors from some people. This is on the same side, so you don't need to like add it and move it around. Like you would only add the 2y if you're going to move it to the other side. Here it's just on the same side, so it's just 24 minus 2 is 22y. And so I'm going to add 48 to the other side. Divide by 22, and then I want you to rewrite the inequality so that the variable is on the left. Okay. So here we have a closed circle, and we're going to the right. Okay, so for number 4, we're going to distribute this negative. Okay, again, 7c and minus 2c are on the same side. So negative 7 and negative 2 is a negative 9c. I'm going to subtract the 18 to the other side. And then here we're going to divide by a negative. So just watch that. Negative 18 over negative 9 is a positive 2. So it's going to be c is the less than 2. We're talking open circle and going to the left. Okay, I've got a few more here. For 5, we have variables on both sides, so we just need to move them to one side. It doesn't matter which side you pick. It doesn't matter. So if I just subtract the 6b, just be careful. 4 minus 6 would be negative 2v. And I'm going to subtract the 8. And now I got to divide by negative 2, so watch that sign. It flips to negative 1. Or sorry, the sign flips to less than or equal to, and we have a negative 1. So on my number line, that's going to be a filled in circle. And we're going to the left. Alright, number 6, I got to distribute my negative 5. And then we got to move the variables to one side. So I'm going to add the 5s. We get 8s. And we're going to subtract 6. So subtracting doesn't flip the sign, it stays the same, but I have negative 16, which is nice. I'm going to divide by 8. It's a positive 8, so even though there's a negative in the problem, I'm dividing by a positive, so the sign doesn't change. And it will say s is less than or equal to negative 2. So on our number line, that's a closed dot and going to the left. Alright, 7 and 8 are some unusual answers, so we're going to go over those. So the first step, I got to distribute this negative 5 over here. Okay, and then I'm going to add 5r to the other side, but what do you notice what happens? My variables cancel on both sides, so I'm left with 6 is less than or equal to negative 10. So we want to determine, is that a true statement? Is 6 less than or equal to 10? What do you guys think? No, that's false. 6 is greater. So this is no solution. You can also write it as like the empty set, if like 0 with the line through it. But like if you were graphing your number line, it would just be nothing. There's no solution, so there's nothing on the number line. Alright, for number 8, the first thing I need to do is distribute my 2. And I'm going to subtract 6w. What do we notice that happens again? My variable cancels. So, is negative 4 less than or equal to 12? Yes, that is true. So that's a true statement. That's true. So if the variables cancel and I end up with a true statement, what kind of solutions do I have? I have infinitely many solutions. Okay, so on your number line, you're graphing just all of them. All of them are solutions. Okay? Any number you plug in would work. Alright, for number 9, find, circle, and explain the error in the work below, and then show how to do the problem correctly. So, let's see if we can find the error. We need to distribute the 5. So 5p, did we see what happened? The error is in this row. You see? 5 times 3, this should be what? 15. So if we write it out correctly, so 5p plus 15. Let's go ahead and solve this now. I'm going to subtract 4p, so I end up with a p. Subtract 15. I end up with p is greater than negative 13, which is very different than their solution. Okay. the error. So the error, explain the error, what happened, how did they make a mistake? They did not distribute correctly. And so when you distribute to both terms, you should end up with p is greater than 13. Alright, so that's it. Make sure you just watch your signs when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. If there's just a negative in the problem, that does not switch the signs. Make sure you're looking out for what you're multiplying and dividing.